All right, so today I'm going to be talking about placement disruption in the foster care system. So we'll be looking at the problem, solution, and then looking further into that solution. Okay, so first the problem. I was reading the article Placement Disruption in Foster Care, Children's Behavior, Foster Parent Support, and Parenting Experiences. So this is a quote from that article that says the majority of children in foster care, 24 months or longer, experience three or more placements. So that's a really, really high number. And ultimately, the goal of foster care is to provide a permanent home for a child, whether that's with their biological family or to be adopted by the foster care family. So placement disruption is the exact opposite. It is chaotic. It is a child moving from home to home. And usually this is caused by a child's behaviors and them not being able to, or a lack of support. So feeling like they're not adequately able to support the job, the role that they signed up for. So this creates a sick cycle of greater behavioral problems on the part of the child, an inability of the child to securely attach to an adult, decreased chances of adoption or unification. And then along with this, there is an increased risk of poor executive functioning, poor academic performance, poor physical health, and increased risk of incarceration during adulthood for the child, and the list can go on. So this study looked at a model by Belsky in 1984, and this model was used originally for just new parents adapting to parenthood, and then also the potential for parenting breakdown. So this model was transferred from Belsky in 1984 to this article transferred. Um, this to foster parents. And so these are some of the questions that were created from that model. And the study overall looked at 139 families that conducted a phone interview. And some of the things in that phone interview were um, being asked a measure of the child's behavior and then their mental health needs, the adequacy and the sources of support for the foster parent, along with the perceived um, what they perceived that they needed from the support system and what was unmet. This also looked and they asked about the just overall parenting experience, and then they asked about the history of the child. Um, so this study, they asked these questions and then they did a 2-year follow-up. So after the 2-year follow-up period, they found that almost 50% of the children were moved to another foster home or to another residential facility. So this can just show how high and how prevalent that placement disruption is in the foster care system. So it found that child behaviors and like negative behaviors and then being at risk to others were significant indicators that this child was going to be a part of placement disruption. And then along with the parents feeling high stress and then low support. So this next graph is looking at, so you can see on the bottom, low perceived problem with child behaviors and then high perceived problem of child behaviors. So this is measuring the perceived challenging aspects of fostering. You could see this trend line that is a positive trend is for low social support. So these parents are feeling low social support and they're feeling a high perceived um, problem of this child's behaviors and that it's more challenging. And if you look at this line, there's a slightly negative trend. So this is the high social support. These parents are feeling highly supported in their just experience as being a foster parent. And as we go into the right side of high perceived problem behaviors, the trend is slightly going down, but overall, this is a very consistent line. And the challenging aspects of fostering are perceived as lower for those that have high social support. So that is our solution, social support for foster families. So overall, foster families have a huge role when it comes to these children. They are going to be the most consistent and nurturing, they can be the most consistent, nurturing people inside their lives and provide guidance, a sense of security, and promote resilience for these children. So these parents do need support. They have a really, really important job. So I looked at a study of 155 licensed foster parents, and they completed an online survey. So basically, it just looked at, so the study was called The Influence of Social Support on the Relationship Between Child Behavior Problems and Foster Parent Satisfaction and Challenges. So it looked at social support on these relationships. And they saw that there was a perceived intensity when there was a perceived intensity of child behaviors, it was a significant predictor in the confidence and satisfaction of a foster parent. So basically, like if this foster parent, if we go back to this graph, perceived that they had low support and there was a lot of problem behaviors, they were going to have a lack of confidence and they were going to have a lack of satisfaction with being a foster parent. And then vice versa for those that feel like they have a really high sense of support, of social support. So overall, these are some of the helpful things that parents found helpful. But number one was social support, and they say they needed intrinsic support, which is emotional support, and that can be found through informal support systems as well, like family and friends. That was also found to be really, really important. But extrinsic support was also found to be equally as important. And this is, you can see in the quote below from this article, that structured and organized supports for foster parents. Yeah, those structured and organized supports. And these are found through the caseworker. So, a caseworker is also a super duper important part of this system, because this caseworker can lead this family into events, trainings, and just other helpful initiatives that can be a resource for these families that are taking on a huge role. So, looking further, we'll look into caseworkers. So, caseworkers are just uniquely positioned to model, teach, and promote healthy relationships for youth in foster care. So, caseworkers. So, parents found that, a caseworker that valued collaboration, respect, trust, honesty, mutual liking, emotional depth, and closeness in the relationships was just extremely helpful. And caseworkers are individuals who work closely with families or individuals to manage cases in a way that connects them with various forms of assistance and social services. So overall, caseworkers have a really, really, really hard job as well. And overall, it was found that a lot of caseworkers just are not provided with enough support themselves. So support can lead, or lack of support can lead to burnout and overall turnover, like leaving your job as a caseworker. That's a really prevalent thing within the social services, just occupation, is this burnout and then ultimately leaving your job. So in an article titled Resilience and Burnout in Child Protective Social Work and Organizational Themes, it was found that coworker and supervisor support can buffer this burnout. So it's especially important for whole organizations to view their employers, just assess them, support them emotionally, and just come alongside them with this hard work that they are doing as a team. They need to examine the culture and the climate of their workplace, the quality of the manager support and the supervision that they are provided. That's especially important. And then factors that also contribute to the contextual work experience are their workload. So a lot of these caseworkers, ultimately, it was found that they're just overworked. They have too many cases, too many hours that they are working. It could be up to like 70 hours I saw in in this article that they could be working, and they're not getting paid enough either. So they could just feel undervalued inside of their place of work. So the caseworkers that found to have the most job satisfaction and that were found to not be burnt out and not have that turnover, they were ones that found that they were committed to their employer, to their workplace, because they felt like they were seen, and all of these things that I just listed, they felt like they had that inside of their workplace. So um, support is a huge part of just the overall chain of just satisfaction for all of these people that are involved inside of the foster care system. So, support, an organization supporting a caseworker will lead to a caseworker being able to support a family And then a family feeling that support from the caseworker is able to support the child that they are looking after. So it's just a chain effect where support is just necessary in this field. So overall, that is the problem and the solution that I found for placement disruption. And hopefully this can lead to some change within the foster care system.